Hello everyone and welcome to another video. Today we're once again back in Warframe for another build, and this time we're having a look at Ash Prime. With this guide we finally finished the series where I have been testing and building pretty much every Warframe that received a change to their exalted weapon, and so here we are today to discuss a very fun build for our favorite ninja. If you didn't know, Ash has pretty much a set that revolves around being very stealthy and dealing massive amounts of damage, especially with finishers. He is able to go invisible at the press of a button for a very solid duration, and he has also access to teleportation. He can teleport both on allies and enemies, and he performs different things depending on what you target. And finally, with his fourth ability, he becomes very angry and starts targeting enemies and marks them for a quick and painless death. Anyways, that's enough introduction for now, so let's jump into the build. Starting from Ash's abilities, his passive makes slash damage more effective, dealing 25% more damage and lasting 50% longer. This only applies to the slash ticks, not the slash initial hit, so just keep that in mind. Moving on, we have his first ability, which usually would be shurikens, where you throw a couple of shurikens and those will track onto enemies and deal damage and also increase Ash's combo count. But for this build we are using Kullervo's ability, Rat's Full Advance. When casting this ability we have two options. We can either tap the ability when targeting an enemy and this will teleport us to that enemy, perform a finisher and grant us a flat amount of melee crit chance, or we can hold the ability and this will teleport us wherever we are aiming and also grant us that massive melee crit chance boost. Once again, that is a flat amount. That means we gain, in this case, 179% more melee crit chance, and that means we are in orange crit territory. Moving on, we have his second ability called the Smokescreen. By casting this ability, Ash and his companion will become invisible, and he will also stun all enemies within a certain radius. Then we have his third ability called Teleport, and as you can imagine, this ability will teleport Ash towards the target he's aiming at. You can use it on ally targets to quickly move towards them, or on enemy targets to perform a finisher and deal bonus finisher damage. If you happen to kill the enemy you targeted, you also gain back some of the energy spent. And finally, we have Blade Storm, his fourth ability. By casting this ability, Ashes enter a focus state where he can target enemies, and then by recasting the ability, he is able to unleash a couple of shadow clones that will deal damage to the marked enemies. You spend energy every time you mark a target, but if you are invisible, you spend half of that energy. And also keep in mind that if you are too far away from the marked targets, in this case more than 39.5 meters, the enemies will be unmarked. And when an enemy loses its mark this way, you just gain back the energy you spent. This ability also goes in combo with your teleport, because by casting teleport on a marked target, teleport will cost no energy, and you'll join your shadow clones into performing a bunch of finishers and dealing slash damage to enemies. This also makes Ash invulnerable to damage, and that means it's a pretty safe way of getting out of a bad situation. Just cast your 4, then teleport, and you are now invincible for a certain duration. You can also cast the ability by holding down the ability button and releasing it when you want to just unleash the clones. And you can also mod this ability to deal more damage, because it's now considered an exalted weapon. Okay, those were the abilities, let's now move on to Archon Shards. First of all, I really recommend going for at least one yellow shard for either casting speed or parkour velocity. It's gonna be your choice, but these yellow shards do really make your life a lot easier, because everything gets faster is usually better. We're also going to use one Talforge Azure Archon Shard for 75% more max energy, and this puts us at 502. This is really important because we are also using two Violet Shards that grant us 37% more melee crit damage each, and that bonus is doubled if we have more than 500 energy. And we do that again by using one Talforge Azure Archon Shard. And this is the new build I'm using on Ash. I also have a couple old builds that do also work, especially this one. This one is actually kind of fun to use, I recommend trying it, but for today we are going to focus on this one. I'm going to call a Silver Assassin. Yeah, there we go. I'm using Steel Charge as my aura for 60% more melee damage, because this grants us 60% more melee damage on our Blade Storm, Prime Sure-Footed to avoid being knocked down, Prime Continuity and Narrow-Minded for a lot of ability duration and the cost of ability range, Stretch to counteract the negative ability range from Narrow-Minded, Transient Fortitude and Agro Secrets for a lot of ability strength at the cost of some ability duration, Prime Flow to increase our energy pool because we do need to reach 500 plus energy max, Rolling Guard to become invulnerable for 3 seconds after performing a dodge, And finally, Teleport Rush, which is going to be rarely used on this build, but it's quite a nice augment to have because it grants us additional parkour velocity and also refreshes the duration of our smoke screen if we manage to perform a mercy kill while using teleport. If you instead don't perform a mercy kill and you just perform a normal kill, that will just grant you an additional 5 seconds, or in our case, an additional 11.33 seconds. That also allows us to stay invisible for longer, which means we are going to survive usually longer in a mission, because being invisible and being invincible are pretty much the same thing in Warframe. Moving to the arcanes, I am using Arcane Crepuscular to gain 30% ability strength and 3x final crit damage multiplier while being invisible, and this also applies to Bladestorm as well. And then Arcane Energize to gain a big burst of energy once in a while when we pick up energy orbs. This is just a personal preference. You may not even need this arcane because we don't really use that much energy anyway, and yeah, usually we'll sit at about max energy all the time. Then we have his exalted weapon called Shadow Clones Prime. This is how you mod your Bladestorm damage, and this is the build I'm currently using. The Bladestorm stance is just pretty much a recap of the ability and grants us an additional 10 capacity. Then, since this weapon's damage is considered finisher damage, we are using Covert Lethality and Finishing Touch to increase that by quite a lot. We are also using a lot of attack speed mods, because the more attack speed we have, the faster the animation of our clones will be. Then I'm running Prime Pressure Point for just pretty much more damage. Melee Elementalist to increase the damage of our slash ticks. This is completely useless unless you go for level like 400 plus, because even at the level 225 I will be testing against, you can pretty much just one-shot enemies when you reach like 8x combo, so this is kinda useless again, but if you plan on staying in a mission for a while, this will become quite nice to have. And finally, we are also using Galvanized Steel to gain a bit more crit chance. It does not really matter, we are gonna get crit chance from Wrathful Advance, but most importantly, I'm using it for the on melee kill plus 30% crit multiplier, stacking up to 4 times for 20 seconds. And that's because this weapon does have a very low crit multiplier, so we want to use any mods that increases it. As for the arcane, I'm using melee exposure, and this arcane on ability cast grants us additional corrosive damage up to 240%. That translates to pretty much just more damage on this weapon, and yeah, that's pretty much why I'm using it. All the other arcanes have some niche uses, but some of them don't even work, so this one is just a safe one to use. And that's Ash build. Let's move on to the weapons I'm using, and they are mostly for fashion. They are obviously going to be very good weapons, but for Warframes that usually have a very good exalted weapon, I just care about the fashion, and that's why I am using the Dread. And since Ash has a slash damage increasing passive, that means that our Dread can shine very well because it does mainly deal slash damage. So yeah, it's actually a very good weapon to use on this Warframe, and this is the build I'm using. I do have a Raven that you can replace with another mod like Vital Scent. It's pretty much just more crit damage, so it's always nice to have. Moving on, we have the Grimoire, and I use this weapon on pretty much every Warframe that has an Exalted because we can use Raise Invocation to increase ability duration. I'm also using a couple of Augur mods, and this will grant us that energy to shield conversion when we spend energy, and that's just for more survivability. One more important thing to mention is that I am using secondary dexterity, and this grants us an additional 7.5 seconds of combo duration, which does apply to Bladestorm. And then for my melee, I am using the Okina Prime because I've just been in love with this weapon. It's so damn strong and it's able to deal massive amounts of damage. This is the build I am currently using. This is your usual melee influence build, and I am using Gas as well because I really like how Gas deals damage in this case because it just lingers there and keeps on killing enemies. And of course, we cannot forget about our lovely companion. I will be using my Panzer Rupaphyla because I just love this pet. If you guys have been watching my channel, you know that I use this pet for pretty much every build. I just love that he can spread viral, give me more crit multiplier, he can strip armor, and yeah, he does just a bunch of stuff that is pretty good to have. And this is the build I'm using on the claws. Alright, and that's pretty much everything for the build, so let's now see it in action. Alright, as always, we have here our 20 rapid heavy gunners, level 225, and my companion is probably able to kill them by himself. I have a full video dedicated to him if you are curious, and yeah, I'll just remove him and do this again. So as I was saying, we have here 20 rapid heavy gunners, level 225, with steel pump modifiers, and those, as you know, are very tanky enemies that have a lot of HP. And we are going to grab some energy first, because we do need a bit to kickstart the rotation. And what we're going to do is use our operator to do a couple of void slings. This grants us the usual 40% ability strength and 50% casting speed. Then after that we go invisible. This allows us to gain an additional 30% more power strength from Arcane Crepuscular and also more crit damage multiplier. Then after that we just want to use our Wrathful Advance, and we gain 249% more melee crit chance, and that is additive. So we are about 260% crit chance on our Blade Storm, which means we are always crit, and we can make full use of all the bonuses we have on our crit damage multiplier. So after that, we cast our 4 with Mark Enemies, and we recast it. You can, again, as I said before, you can just hold it, Mark Enemies, and just, release the button, and it will do the same thing, but I just do it this way because I like it. And yeah, that's all the enemies done. As I said, your slash ticks won't happen at all because they take so much damage. I love this build so much, it's so funny. So let's do that once again more quickly to showcase how it actually happens in the actual mission like this, how it's probably gonna happen. And you can of course join the clones if you want to. Just press your 3 on any marked enemy, and you can join your buddies, your shadow buddies, and yeah, join the mayhem. It's always fun to do that. And of course, we can stack our combo count the more we kill. It does go up little by little with every hit, and yeah, that's pretty much it. We do need to use Wrathful Advance always before casting our shadow clones. Otherwise, as you saw, pretty much no damage. Now let's bring back our path and let's see what happens if we also apply Viral to enemies. As you can expect, it's just going to be, well, very sad for the enemies because they're gonna take so much more damage. And yeah, that's what happens in a mission as well. We are just dealing a few millions of damage here and there. And everything is dead. That's it. You can just stay invisible for pretty much infinite amount of time. If you do want to join, again, your buddies, just target one enemy that has the mark and use teleport, and you can do this. And yeah, just recast your invisibility whenever you want to. Use your rolling guard if you're in a bad situation, or when you have to recast your smoke screen. Remember to use your grimoire to gain the more duration on abilities just by casting the alt fire. That is 60% more ability duration, which is it's so good. Like we gain like 28 seconds on Wrathful Advance and 34 on smoke screen. That means you don't have to recast it that much. And again, if you do happen to kill something with a mercy, that fully resets the duration of the smoke screen. So yeah, we have so many ways to deal with everything. We just stay perma-invisible, and yeah, we just keep dealing millions and millions of damage because we can. That's beautiful. Now, obviously, this might be the weakest of the new exotic weapons we have tested on the channel because, I mean, it's quite slow. It does like a couple of hits every second, and I mean, that's pretty much it. It's okay for like finishing some targets. You won't usually use it to actually deal damage because, well, if we, for example, use the Okina Prime with the Wrathful Advance buffs, well, I mean, it's just yeah, just faster. So it's not the strongest ability of the bunch. It's much better than it was before, and with this build, you can push its limit to like pretty much the maximum or almost. So I quite enjoy it, but then again, it's more of a finishing thing, or like you can target enemies that are too far away for you and just kill everything else with your melee. But yeah, that's up to you. If you want to just spam your 4, you can. Just know that it's just faster to use your melee weapons, and it's kind of sad. And yeah, that's pretty much Ash Prime. He is now for real the biggest ninja ever, and thanks to Wrathful Advance, he can actually deal great damage because having 5% on that ability is just so sad. Since Atlas went from 5 to 30%, I think Ash should have more base crit chance. I think it would make sense to give him some crit chance as well, but that's just it. We have ways to fix it, again, with Wrathful Advance. And that's pretty much gonna be it for today's build. I will now leave you guys to the showcase where I test this build for 10 minutes in a Grenade Steel Path Survival, so you can see how it performs in a more realistic scenario. If you enjoyed the video, remember to leave a like, and if you like my content, consider subscribing. I wish you a beautiful rest of the day, and bye-bye.
Gone, we've only begun, that's the best part. When we get it on, I'm addicted, no denying it, cause you don't cross my mind, you're living it. I wanna taste you and feel you shake. raising an earthquake. Can't push the brakes when a rush hits. We're going in, we're going in. You give me body magic, year after year. Only gets better, I'm licking the knees. We hit the sheets, you on my lips, I'm feeling the heat. That's all I need. you suffer fiction. Prey on me when I'm lonely. I'm your willing victim.